We're back with Melanie Franklin, Chief Executive of Maven Training. We're going to talk about P3O. Melanie, tell us what P3O is, would you?
Well, it's the 3 Ps: portfolio, programme and project, and the O stands for office. So we're starting to talk now about, it's all very well having a project framework or a way in which an organisation manages programmes, but how is all that effort coordinated? And P3O is an approach that's been defined by the Office of Government Commerce, who are the owners of the Prince 2 approach, the Managing Successful Programmes and the Management of Risk approaches. This relatively new publication, and it's actually trying to bring together a lot of experiences in support functions, assurance functions, and those people that provide perhaps guidance, mentoring, and very much some technical skills, planning, risk analysis, all into sort of one office. One of the interesting things that the book explores is the different levels at which that coordination would be best served. I think one of the issues we have is that to get the most value out of project managers, we often find that they're being asked to do many administrative tasks as well as the difficult thing of actually building the project team, keeping the direction of the project going. And I think we can get more value for money sometimes with some of those administrative tasks, arranging meetings, taking the minutes, pulling together the project plan, doing the chasing for progress reporting from various team members. That can be done in a sort of a support function. But if you've got multiple projects within an organisation, is it better to do that for individual projects, or would you be better off centralising that support and getting economies of scale? Well, if you extend that question, it's the same question if you have multiple programmes running within an organisation. And in fact, if you've got a portfolio of projects and programmes that deliver your strategy, if you're a mature organisation that understands how to bring projects and programmes together, you might very well want a centralised office that actually is responsible for all levels within that portfolio. In that case, we're actually elevating this away from this is just admin support for project managers, to being a much more strategic function. And the P3O approach covers all of those different structures so that organisations can think about the pros and cons of all those different structures and work out what's best for them.
So what are the different types of support structures?
The project support is concentrating only at project level. Programme support is very much having to sit the balance between, I need to look at the programme as a whole and do the administration of the programme, but I also need to provide support to the individual projects within that programme. So you can find at a programme level that you're elevating risks from individual projects. The programme office is evaluating those and then passing that information on to other projects in the programme that perhaps need to know. So it's very much a sort of filter things up, evaluate and filter them back down again. Now that's very supportive of the programme manager, who often has so much stakeholder engagement, so many communication activities to do, that a lot of the analysis, planning and risk management is harder to do and support each of the individual projects.
Is P3O just another level of bureaucracy though?
Well, I think it's all about economies of scale, really. I think it's identifying that why would I pay a relatively expensive resource like a project manager or a programme manager with the premium that programme managers command in terms of salaries to do an awful lot of these support functions when, frankly, I can get more value for money from getting somebody who is more junior in their career to actually help out. The alternative would be that I'm not worried about support functions, but actually what I'm using the office for is for assurance and guidance and mentoring. And that would be better placed coming from this office of professionals rather than from the perhaps skewed position of an individual project manager guiding their project team or a programme manager guiding each of their project managers. So I think an organisation can get economies of scale at a very basic level, but it can actually be used very much for continuous improvement and enhancement of knowledge at a more strategic level.
So what is the authority of the Programme, Project and Portfolio Office?
The levels of authority are very much tied into how an organisation wants to run its approach to project and programme management. In some organisations, the programme manager has complete autonomy and the programme office works for them. But in some other organisations, it's a portfolio office that basically sets the standards for all project and programme management work, ensures that the framework is being followed, ensures that documentation makes sense. So the authority is very, very senior, it's very strategic. So there are all sorts of different levels of authority, different levels of responsibility and roles within that office. And an organisation uses P3O to explore, well, what works for me? Because at the end of the day, that's the only structure that counts.
So the implication of that, if it's that high level, is it could actually restructure an organisation. How would it go about doing that?
Well, I think it is part of the overall, does an organisation implement a framework for managing programmes and projects, or does it allow project managers to run things their own way? If it's the latter and project managers are running things their own way, you often find that the project office, project support is very much on the administrative function. But when organisations start to get serious about project and programme management, they have so many projects running that they actually need to get control and structure around it. They're looking for governance. That's when you start to see an organisation thinking through what works for us, what is the right structure. And it is about changing the way in which the organisation works, because we are looking at quite a lot of power being devolved into this office, setting the direction of the programmes, checking up that things are being done appropriately. So it's really, there's quite a power within that, and an organisation has to sign up to that shift if they are to make full use of it.
What is the relevance of P3O themed workshops?
I think for portfolio, programme and projects structures, it's very helpful to get people involved in a workshop who might be asked to implement it or be impacted in some way, because it's all about defining what works for that organisation. And we find those workshops are very, very interactive. People really do get engaged. They want to understand what the different structures are. They want to be able to debate within that reassuring environment of a workshop, that they can debate the pros and cons and what will work for them, and at the end of the day come out with a conclusion. This is the structure we should be following. And then they can move to put that structure in place.
Melanie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian.